dangerous arrow in the previous episode. It made Su Chunli scared. Fortunately, Jang-i took action to stop all this. This does not make the situation any more troublesome. It was just now. Su Chunli, under the command of Jang-i, slowly let go of the dangerous arrow. At this moment, he was almost afraid of peeing his pants. After all, in this era where human life is like grass, the enemy will not care whether you live or die. At the same time, Jang-i also uses superpowers, may it be because in his opinion, arrows are likely to be planted with microbombs. So just to be safe, Jang-i intentionally left it in a space, created a separate area, absorbed the arrow into it. Then his consciousness came to a space. After a closer look, didn't find anything special. At the tail of the arrow, found something resembling a letter. Even so, Jang-i didn't dare to be careless. Instead, he activated another ability to wrap him up. He plans to take it back for Kier to study first. See if this arrow is poisoned. Then Jang-i glanced at Su Chunli, said to throw your gloves. If the arrow really has a problem, your life is about to stop here. Su Chunli is not stupid at the moment. In fact, just before Jang-i opened his mouth, he was ready to throw away the gloves. However, after listening to Jang-i's story, he even threw his gloves far away. That's all. Jang-i returned to the laboratory with the only harvest. To test my guess, when even if Joe Kier is found, he asked Joe Kier to check the arrow, just to see if the arrow is dangerous or not. After Joe Kier gave the test results, Joe Kier couldn't help but tease. Are you being a little too careful? Since they chose to arrow, they won't use such despicable methods. Heard this, Jang-i seemed very calm, just said something faintly. Being careful will make you less dangerous. You are at your most relaxed. This is usually when enemies want to kill you the most. Uncle Vu sees this. He also wanted to say, I agree with Jang-i's point of view. The changes on the battlefield are unpredictable. If you don't pay attention, your head will break and bleed. We didn't eat less at this loss back then. Seeing this, Joe Kier blinked her eyes. Although she felt that they were being too careful, but she still put on the gloves cautiously. After all, professionals do professional things. And she concocted a drug in the laboratory. Then she dropped the potion on top of the arrows. However, it didn't take long. Everyone was scared into a cold sweat. The color of the arrow has changed significantly. Apparently this arrow is really poisonous. The person it is most afraid of at the moment is Su Chunli. He was worried if he had touched the arrow, he would have died. Others appear to be more composed. The reason why Jang-i was able to guess this, just because if Jang-i were them. He also uses this method. After all, one can be killed. Then Joe Kier brought a glass cover. She covered the arrow with a red cloth. It is because of this move. Let Joe Kier accidentally discover the font on the red cloth. She hurriedly informed Jang-i of the situation, asked him if he wants to come and see. Heard this, everyone gathered together, but the unfolded red cloth is just a string of codes. The few people present don't understand what this means. Then Jang-i hurriedly called Young Shinshin. Young Shinshin really lived up to expectations. The first time she saw the string of characters, she recognized it as an address. Then she said to several people, this address can be contacted to Yongshang base. Heard this, Jang-i cautiously asked, is this safe? The corner of Yang Shinshin's mouth, but raised a confident smile. Boss, are you underestimating me? Do you think it's dangerous with me here? This time, Liang Yu suddenly interrupted her. Could these be the same people who kidnapped my students? Jang-i did not choose to continue concealing, but to say righteously that, it's definitely them. After all, how is it possible in the world there will be such a coincidence? She heard Jang-i say that. Liang Yu seemed very anxious. She said to contact the other party quickly. Let's see what they're up to. Then Jang-i thought briefly. He thinks the other party is doing this. They just want to negotiate with me. By the way, check the value of those students. They can even test my own strength. They are carrying out plans to achieve many goals. But Jang-i didn't want to. To test the other party's attitude, just take this opportunity. He can be in front of Liang Yu to perform a play, squeeze the last bit of value out of those students. Jang-i then immediately told Miss Liang, that's right. Let's talk to them now. At least see who the other party is. Hearing that, Liang Yu felt touched. She believes that rescuing the students is promising. Then, Jang-i's next words made her ponder for a long time, because Jang-i pointed out, he knows that Liang Yu is eager to save the students, but this is a big deal. One carelessness could spark the war of the century. So he asked Liang Yu to only monitor from the side, and don't show too much concern for students. Otherwise, the other party's lion will open his mouth. You can be passive on your own side. Liang Yu pondered for a moment. Then she nodded firmly and said, don't worry, I will do as you request. Jang-i just got Liang Yu's affirmative reply. He started to ask Young Shinshin to prepare the layout. He has only one request. That is to make sure this contact is foolproof. He wants to see, what tricks is the other party trying to play? Soon, everyone came to the living room. Young Shinshin opened her laptop. I saw her perform a few simple operations. They made contact with each other. Then she put the computer in front of Jang-i. At the same time, she gave him a look. The meaning is obvious, you can tease as much as you like. There is no way the other party can hack into our system. Just at this moment, a woman's voice came from the computer. You really keep me waiting. It seems that you are Jang-i. Jang-i's expression was cold. Looks like you've already investigated me, so let's not talk in secret. Which base are you carrying? Xia Honglian did not choose to hide. She said he was the person in charge of Yongsheng district. But in the next second, her tone became a little colder. Subordinate that I sent to Hongyuan Material Factory. It should have been killed by you, right? Jang-i did not reply to her directly. He asked rhetorically, the students who were taken from Zhujiazan village yesterday. Did you do it? That's all. The two sides are in the process of the first wave of pulling. No one answered the other's question directly. But obviously this is also the most obvious answer. However, this wave of operations obviously angered Xia Honglian. Immediately she shouted Jang-i into the phone. How dare you kill my subordinates? In the entire Amami city, no one dares to practice against me, Xia Honglian. Looks like you're tired of living. Jang-i smiled disdainfully. I'm really familiar with this sentence. Seems like the last person to talk to me like that. It's all turned to ashes. Right. You may have heard his name. His name is Chunshinian. Although Jang-i's words were somewhat threatening. But Xia Honglian was not scared. She said, do you see me as a 3-year-old child? The fall of Shishan base, directly related to Nike missiles. You are just a small force. Where will the rocket come from? I'm not an idiot. Haha, do you think you understand? Then why don't you think about it carefully? Is it? The missile at Shishan base came out of thin air. Xia Honglian's tone is consistent. But she would not be scared by Jang-i's few words. Then continue to test. You are just a supervisor in a small warehouse. Can have that much energy to call missiles. If you say it, go out and see if anyone will believe it. At this moment, Jang-i is too lazy to talk nonsense with her anymore. Don't bother to test it anymore. Did you think I would tell you? I hope you see reality. Don't mess with me. Better get away from me, since I can kill your first batch of people. I can kill the second batch. Take down your lair. It just depends on my mood. Speaking of which, he glanced at Liang Yu, who was anxious. Go on. You'd better send me back the students you took away. Don't blame me for not warning you. I have the ability to destroy your base. Heard this? Xia Honglian was completely furious. She is still one of the major powers in Amami City, the leader of one of the largest organizations. When has anyone ever been so threatening? So arrogant? If you are really that good, the whole of Tianhai City has long been your territory. You don't have to be crazy with me. Believe it or not, I'm going to kill them all right now. Send their bodies back to you. I advise you better not to do such a stupid thing. Those students meant nothing to me. I just can't bear to see them homeless. And Xia Honglian smiled indifferently. Why do I listen to you? You seem a little nervous about the lives of those students. Maybe I guessed right. See the situation. Jang-i immediately pretended to be embarrassed. He just wants Liang Yu to watch. He was torn. All to help him save those students. Then Jang-i sighed. Let's talk about this. How on earth are you going to let those students go? At this moment, Tu Hong's eyes become brighter and brighter. She was certain that he had grasped Jang-i's weakness. Just now, Xia Honglian thought she had grasped Jang-i's weakness, so she decided to take this as an invitation. Want to get some benefits from Jang-i, but she knew she had to grasp this opportunity. Similar to letting Jang-i live a long life. It doesn't make any sense, because this is not intended to be a direct declaration of war. So he chose to test Jang-i's bottom line first. Then he heard Xia Honglian say, Jang-i, you killed my cousin and my subordinates. Now your student are in my hands again. If you want someone, just exchange the supplies in your hand. I hope you don't try to deceive me. Supplies from the South China warehouse. We all know it's in your hands. I don't want much. Just give me half of it. After that we'll write it off. From now on we will be good allies. After listening to it, Jang-i rejected her without thinking. Even if it's acting for Liang Yu now, it is impossible for him to agree to such an unreasonable request. After all, this problem is in Jang-i's opinion. Just to test your own strength. If you agree to her request, then the sanctuary is bound to come under intense attack. Even half of the supplies dare to be handed over. This is an extremely stupid thing to do. At that time, half of the remaining supplies were also robbed. But at this moment, Xia Honglian expressed her toughness. That is, if you don't agree to my request, the only path that greets you is war. However, at this time, Jang-i smiled carelessly. Are you saying that you are stronger than Shishan base? Heard this? Xia Honglian sneered. Don't pretend in front of me. Your battle with Shishan base. It must have really hurt you. And as far as I know, the people you killed, it's not just the people from our Yongsheng base. Aren't you afraid that I will ally with another base? Chaoyu base will attack you together. I'd like to see it. How do you fight the alliance between our two bases? Ha 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 ha. That's what you think. It seems that you really don't know anything about my strength. I kindly remind you, if you plan to come and die, I'd be happy to do it for you. You will definitely pay for your arrogance. Jang-i then continued to act as a professional actor. I still hope we will let go of old resentments. Fighting and killing is not good for either of us. So, you'd better send those students back to me. The more Jang-i said that, Xia Honglian became more and more suspicious. So she also gave Jang-i an ultimatum, unless you accept my terms. Otherwise, it's off the table. At this moment, Jang-i pretended to be angry and said to Xia Honglian, don't go too far. Those students are innocent. If you were a woman, you fight me. Although he said so. But in his heart he was thinking, get rid of those students quickly. Do you know how tired I am from acting? Don't give me face, just kill it. But at this time, Xia Hongli hung up the phone. You can tell by the tone of her voice at the end. Apparently she was going to torture those students. See the scene? Jang-i pretended to be angry and said, these people really deserve to die. They really wanted to kill those innocent students. Subsequently, Jang-i said that this can no longer continue. He is about to set off for Yongsheng base to rescue people now. As soon as these words came out, everyone in the house was dumbfounded. And then he tried to emphasize, this time is different from before. The right time, place and people are not on our side. And this has nothing to do with you. So don't go there. Everybody heard Jang-i say that. Only a few people who know Jang-i better. It feels a little weird. But Jang-i made a decision to go to Sheng base. That's like suicide. Of course they had to stop him. So a group of people rushed over to stop Jang-i. Especially Jang-i's two beautiful women. Came to him immediately. They hugged him tightly. Please don't go. Do you want us to be widows? At this moment, Su Chunli silently said that the boss. You acted very well. It won't end well if it goes on like this. After that, Jang-i continued acting. He sighed silently, it's all my fault. I wasn't paying attention to the students. And let them be kidnapped. Damn. I once promised Liang Yu that I would always help her, protect her students. I really underestimated these people. The scene moved Liang Yu. She specially walked to Jang-i's side. You not to be impulsive. It's not your fault. I can only blame myself for not protecting them well. Watching you all work so hard to help me, I'm really happy. But I really don't want to drag you all down. You've done your best. After saying that, Liang Yu turned around and walked upstairs. Jang-i asked Liang Yu loudly from behind. What do you want to do? Liang Yu smiled silently to you. Don't worry about me. I want to find a home for my own soul. Seeing this, Joka couldn't help but mutter to Jang-i. She doesn't want to save people by himself, does he?